provide services such as installation of programs, antivirus monitoring, backup, etc., you will need to deploy an automate agent to each managed endpoint. In this lesson, you will learn the methods for deploying agents, how to configure deployment settings, how to log into the Web Control Center, and where to download install files from the Web Control Center. Before you can begin deploying services and remediating issues, you need to have a ConnectWise Automate agent on computers at the locations you manage. An agent is an application that runs on endpoints to facilitate commands, scripts, and any other features that are initiated from the ConnectWise Automate server. There are a few different methods to deploy these agents, and each is ideally used in specific situations. Most likely, the goal is to completely deploy agents. With that in mind, every deployment methodology is most likely to be used to generate a solid base. One method to deploy agents is by using the network probe in ConnectWise Automate. The network probe is an agent designated to scan the network and find devices. We can leverage the probe to attempt to automatically deploy agents to the computers it finds in the network. The success of the probe is dependent on many factors in the network. Network security and proper credentials are the biggest hurdles to overcome when deploying through this method. This was touched on previously when you learned about locations. You learned that computers in each location must be able to communicate with each other. Group policy objects in Windows are an ideal deployment solution if your clients are using a Microsoft domain-based environment. It is recommended to use GPO to best handle agent deployment to these networks. ConnectWise does not provide any content for this type of install, but many tutorials exist for leveraging GPO in Windows to install software. The reason this is ideal is because all of the necessary network and credential restrictions will be out of the way. While the key is always to move toward automation, there are times when a manual install of an agent is required. Manual installation is ideal on an as-needed basis, or when the device is running a compatible version of Linux or Mac, or when mass deployment methods have already been implemented, but the deployment to the device has failed. This requires to download the install file from the Web Control Center and install the agent software. Which of the following is not a method for installing the ConnectWise Automate agent? So, what is required before you deploy the LT agent to devices? There are a few requirements to keep in mind when deploying agents, and they include that clients and locations must be established and configured, such as establishing a password for a client. At a minimum, the default template must be configured, .NET Framework should be installed on devices 3.5 or higher, verify that the client's AV is either turned off during deployment or that AV exclusions have been put into place, and finally, disable or add exceptions to any firewalls. As mentioned earlier, agents can be deployed by 3 different methods. This flowchart explains how to decide when to use each approach. The first question asked is, do you have a domain controller? If you do, then it asks if you have an Active Directory. If yes, then using a startup script in a group policy object, GPO, will provide the best results. If you are not using an Active Directory, then Network Probe is the answer. Now, if you answer no to having a domain controller in the first question, then it asks if you have more than 10 agents to deploy. If you do, then a pro push or login script is best. If you do not, that installing manually on 10 or less agents is fine and can be completed quickly. Another deciding factor on deployment methods used is the OS of the computer. Currently, Linux and Mac OS agents can only be manually installed or by your own third-party scripts. The Network Pro does not have the functionality to install agents to these operating systems. No matter which method you choose to deploy agents, you must first set up the Deployments and Defaults tab at the location. In the Browse menu, expand a client and double-click on one of the client's locations. Select the Deployments and Defaults tab. The three drop-downs in the Agent Deployment Settings area customize the installer executable for that location. If using the Pro, this also sets which client credentials to use for agent installation. The default group for new agents drop-down determines which group the computer is added to first when the agent is installed. If onboarding has been set up at the location, the agent will still be added to the necessary groups per the service plan selected. It is recommended that you choose a default selection to place all new agents into the All Agents group, but you may have the need to put a location's agents into a specific group at some point. In a login to use or admin access dropdown, you need to select which set of credentials to use for admin access, which are listed in the password tabs of both the location screen and the associated client screen. If this location is using a domain, you should select a domain administrator account. However, some locations may be just using workgroups, and you should select the local account present on each machine at the location. This password is used by the pro when deploying the agents. Finally, when an agent is installed, the installer package can include a template for the agent. Templates control the look and behavior of the ConnectWise Automate agent. Using the default template is okay, but it is recommended to modify the default template to at least include your own branding for tray icons. At some point, you may want to create your own custom template to add to agents as they are installed for a location. Be sure to save all of the changes you have made. When downloading location-specific agents from the Web Control Center, these settings are used. Additionally, the probe also deploys agents to this location using the same deployment settings. And keep in mind, it is necessary to log into the Web Control Center for the location-specific installers. Match the setting with the correct description. Match the setting with the correct description. The Web Control Center can be used for manual installation of agent software. While automated installations are preferred, from time to time, especially when onboarding a new client, you will need to manually get an agent installed on a client's network. To access the Web Control Center, open a web browser, for example, Chrome. Enter the fully qualified domain name known as FQDN or the IP address of the Automate server, followed by /automate. Enter your username when prompted, and then enter your password to log in. The Web Control Center is a limited version of the Desktop Control Center and has a similar look and feel. To access the Installers menu, click on the System Module icon in the lower left. Now, expand the Installers menu. From here, a technician can choose to download a custom agent installer, which includes settings in the deployment and default section of the location, or just a standard Automate agent. Additionally, an installer for the full control center may be downloaded from here as well. After clicking on Custom Agent, you will be prompted to select the client and location from the Agent Destination dropdown and an installer type from the Installer Type dropdown. Click Download to begin downloading the install package. Once downloaded, run the installer and answer any security prompts that may pop up. Center can be used for manual installation of agent software. While automated installations are preferred, from time to time, especially when onboarding a new client, you will need to manually get an agent installed on a client's network. To access the Web Control Center, open a web browser, for example, Chrome. Enter the fully qualified domain name known as FQDN or the IP address of the Automate server, followed by /automate. Enter your username when prompted, and then enter your password to log in. The Web Control Center is a limited version of the Desktop Control Center and has a similar look and feel. To access the Installers menu, click on the System Module icon in the lower left. Now, expand the Installers menu. From here, a technician can choose to download a custom agent installer, which includes settings in the deployment and default section of the location, or just a standard Automate agent. Additionally, an installer for the full control center may be downloaded from here as well. After clicking on Custom Agent, you will be prompted to select the client and location from the Agent Destination dropdown and an installer type from the Installer Type dropdown. Click Download to begin downloading the installed package. Once downloaded, run the installer and answer any security prompts that may pop up. In addition to the agent install files, an installer for the Control Center is available in the Web Control Center. Is this statement true or false? Let's take a minute to go over some of the important concepts covered in this lesson. You should remember the three methods to deploy agents. Location-specific installers require that the Deployments and Defaults tab of the location in the Control Center be configured. Linux and Mac agents can only be deployed manually, and all install files for agents and the Control Center can be downloaded from the Web Control Center. Do you feel comfortable with the material covered in this lesson? If you do, click yes below to advance to the final knowledge check and complete the lesson. Click no if you would like to provide us feedback on how we could improve the lesson, and be sure to complete the final knowledge check.